abstentions? All right, motion carries. All right, next we'll go to Lydia to review the proposed SBA conflict of interest policy.
Thank you. So the SBA, as a result of the SMART audit, made recommendations that we enhance our conflict of interest policy, and that all board members sign it annually and staff sign it as they are hired. So this is the version reviewed by Rachel that the SBA has recommended we institute. And so I hope everybody's had a chance to read it. It's pretty standard, really. It's just an amplification of our historic policy.
How many pages was that?
Well, this one is about 4, 5 pages. Well, 4 pages plus the signature.
Plus the signature.
So Lydia, this will replace the previous policy in its entirety?
It'll be in addition to the previous policy.
Right. So this policy is very SBA specific, and as you know, there are matters that this board takes up outside of the SBA, your bond activity, revolving loan fund, things of that nature. And so you have the policy that is recommended and in compliant with PAAA. So we'll keep that policy. The two policies don't conflict. They're, I think, like complementary of each other. And this one is SBA specific to SBA activities only.
Okay.
They actually provided this template for us, so that was kind of.
I noticed one thing on paragraph 5. I thought this was kind of funny. I'm sure it was left out unintentionally. On page 4, paragraph 5, it says they left out the word may not, I think. Any of the board members, it's about halfway down, it starts out any of the board members or employees may accept any gift, gratuity.
Oh, wow. Good catch.
If it could be interpreted that the purpose was to influence you. So I'm happy to sign this, but let's get the gifts rolling.
Wow. Yep, we'll get that in there.
Okay. And then I wondered on paragraph 7 where it talks about the procedure for addressing conflicts of interest. I know we have access to like the attorney for, and I just wondered, I didn't see that in here for the attorney to the board to have a role in helping the board like work through any conflicts. And I get it, this is for SBA loans and maybe it's overly, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I just think I think, and I didn't pull up the other conflict of interest policy because I wasn't sure at the time how they would interrelate. That might just be.
Yeah, Barry and I can take a look at that, and if there's just another sense, like add
that we can consult with the attorney, right? Yeah.
Is it sufficient
to
to
borrow
add
language from our existing policy?
Might we just add a line in here that says that any exclusions in this policy are covered by our other conflict of interest policy, or is that not appropriate?
Oh, that's a good, I think that's a good approach as well. I don't know how the SBA will feel about it, Lydia, but I mean, I think that so long as we keep this largely intact and we just make it stronger, I don't know why they'd have a problem with
I think at least this speaks maybe not to the letter of the law, but at least to the spirit, is that if we have a conflict and these documents show just what conflicts of interest are or whatever, and if we're unsure of that, we're supposed to declare those. And so what happens in that process is that we have attorneys that look at that, and then they make the decision there. So the attorneys are always there for us in terms of the board. If you had to go to Barry or Rachel about what you perceive to be a conflict, but you're not sure that it's not that or whatever, they're obligated to let you know what that is. So I don't know if we have to have anything that spells that out within the policy, but that's what I believe the spirit of it is since I've been on the board. That if you have a conflict of interest, you declare it, and if you're not sure, you just check, and we have our legal that would sort of guide us through that. Is that your understanding, attorneys?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes, of course.
And I think it can be, like, I'm looking at our current conflict of interest policy, and it states that the committees and the ethics officer should seek guidance from council or the various New York State agencies
Right.
that govern us. And so I think it's just, additionally, a board member should also seek guidance from council, and then we can add, we can always add SBA council as well.
Yeah, just to make it, because if we're really gonna use the document to guide our behavior, I think it doesn't hurt to say that we can seek, the advice of counsel. And because that really is what we do. I agree, Hanif.
Yeah, you're really supposed to do that if you're on a board.
Right.
You're
And so
declaring any conflicts of interest.
right.
And you can declare them, and you know what a conflict is. But if you're unsure, we should always check with legal.
Yep. And I just wanted to make sure that the document actually says that.
Okay.
So.
Yep, I just added the sentence, very straightforward, and I'll scan it to staff, and you can get that in there.
Perfect. Otherwise, I didn't have any other questions. Looked good.
Zach, I'm prepared to move that.
Okay, so the motion to approve the proposed SBA conflict of interest policy pending the updates to number 5 and number 7, and recommend to the full board adopt the policy.
So move.
All right, second.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion carries. Next, Lydia will review the proposed succession plan.
Right, so the SBA was looking for us to articulate a succession plan. It's a little different for us because we are really staffed by county employees primarily. So this is just really an outline of what happens, if you will, if there is a movement in, I think they were particularly interested in a situation where someone was impacted in their example as a result of COVID, absent for a long period. How would the agency continue on? So we just kind of articulated initially about the board, who would take what responsibilities if, for instance, the president was absent or other officers, and then just below about the county executive appointing folks, us being county employees essentially, and that there would be a chain of command, so to speak, if there was a situation of hopefully no one being absent for any length of time.
That doesn't sound like a succession plan. Sounds like a fire drill.
Right, right. Well, it's sort of, I'm not saying that this is the end all, but I think this will satisfy the requirement initially. And the reality is our organization's a little different because we are under that county umbrella, rather than, many CDCs are totally independent of any governing body. So they really are functioning on their own. We have a little stopgap, I would say.
So that's our succession plan. what you just stated?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll have a motion to approve the proposed succession plan and recommend to the full board adopt the policy.
I'll move.
All right, a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion carries. All right, back to Lydia for internal control risk rating policy.
So this is a policy that we initially approved in 2017. It is what we've done, the only changes that have been made are these and recommended by the SBA Smart Audit. The last two paragraphs talk about overrides, which we had referenced that in another document within our policies and procedures, but we're articulating it in the risk rating, and then upgrades and downgrades. We'll review the portfolio monthly to determine any movement in loan classifications. The other change here is that we did, there were some typos essentially, because, you know, we've been using risk ratings with our loan write-ups consistently for the last number of years. And then, doing annual reviews of files. And then we do keep our eye on the portfolio, right? But we hadn't, certain of the grades within this description were not matching what we actually were doing, just off by a couple, we the numbering system, if you will. So we just updated that to be 1 through 8, 1 being a pass, 1, 2, and 3 being a pass, 4 being a watch, 5 being a special mention, 6 being substandard, 7 being doubtful, and 8 being a loss. So we do monitor the portfolio regularly, and that is the process that we have been using. So this is really an update and refresh, if you will, of our risk rating policy.
So this isn't going to bring any more hardship or work for you guys, right? Because it's all.
No, I think it's just articulating what we do, and we'll, our goal is, and we're working towards that, is getting everything electronic. We were pretty successful with that with our annual review this year of financial statements, but we're gonna we'll also codify the movement of classifications in a more formal way.
All right, can I have a motion to approve the internal control risk rating policy and recommend to the full board and adopt the policy?
I'll move.
All right, a second.
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed or abstentions? All right, motion carries. All right, back to Lydia to discuss the loan review report and responses.
Right, so the loan review was received, and so anyway, we did receive the loan review, and there were no findings, just recommendations. It's another good plus for us. And they're pretty much, they start on page 32 of the report. We have articulated responses to these, and we'll circulate those to you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Page 32.
Page 32, yes, but our responses are not. We'll get the responses that we have done. We've articulated those. So essentially, I can go over them very quickly in any level of detail you'd like. We were deficient really in hazard insurance policies. We requested them in a number of cases, but not in them. We're going to institute a policy where we request those at the time we request annual financial statements. Also, that accompanies their interest paid for the prior year statement. So it's a document they definitely open and look at because they have their interest statement in there. So hopefully that'll help us keep track of the hazard insurance. We will going forward, request businesses articulate to us whether they received PPP money and idle money and what was forgiven. We did note that in our annual review of files, and we're going to document that more diligently. Underwriting was noted, the improvement was noted in underwriting. They'd like us to elaborate more on succession plans, requirements for life insurance, and then credit elsewhere. And that credit elsewhere requirement is really something that the SBA is keying in on as well. And we will do that in a more detailed manner.
What is the life insurance?
So SBA looks to have life insurance assignments on all loans. And our policy has pretty much been, we, if there's depth of management within the organization, we typically have not been requiring it. It's very cumbersome to monitor. It's also very cumbersome to release. Like, for instance, I just had someone reach out to me on a loan that paid off in 1996 that needed their life insurance released because for some reason we had not released their life insurance. And so we are working with them on that right now, but it's life insurance in particular is something that the life insurance policy issuers are very, very strict on the assignment. So every assignment is going to be different based on the company, and the release required is different for every company, and it just ends up being very time consuming, quite frankly. It being said, we definitely do require it on some loans, especially where there's no, where it's a sole proprietor or it's a professional, such as a doctor, where, the continuation of a loan would be in peril if something happened to them. Where if we, in our review and analysis, have determined that they are not, that there would be succession or ability to move the entity forward, we typically have not required that. So we're, the other recommendation was that we reach out to the primary lenders when we're doing a file review annually. We have not been doing that, but we will do that going forward. We typically are in communication with them, but we don't necessarily articulate that in our file review. And we're also going to update real property tax records in our annual review. So these are all sort of somewhat related. Risk rating methodology upgrades, downgrades, we talked about that just previously. We're going to annually review policies, conflict of interest that relate to SBA loans. Right now, we're really pretty much just doing that for requirements under the Public Authorities Act. They're looking for us to do that more generally relative to SBA. And then company visits, we have been not visiting with companies because of COVID, and the recommendation was that we institute that and follow it through with a contact management system, which of course we've had a lot of discussion about and are eager to do. So that I think once COVID passes will not be an issue, right? And then a tickler system again for life, hazard insurance, life insurance, real property tax searches, job surveys, et cetera. That really kind of ties into the annual review. We're going to make that a more robust document, as I said previously. And our outreach to companies, accountants, bankers, again, we've kind of been on hold with that because of COVID. We're going to, we look forward to reinstituting that as soon as we're able to. And then education to the board, we have done that.
What determines that? When will we know that we're ready?
Well, I think it's not, it's us being ready. So like as now, we're doing all our meetings virtually, under New York state law. So I guess in January that will be lifted, but I think also we have to rely on the fact that our partners are willing to meet with us in person. And we know that some banks in particular have gone for an extended period of not being in the office. And the reality is the SBA is not in the office right now. They're working primarily remotely. The offices are staffed 1 or 2 days a week. So, I mean, I think it's just generally as all parties are able to meet in person. We have done a number of in-person client meetings recently. I would say over the last month, we've probably, everybody we have interacted with on a proposed project, we have met with one-on-one. That being said, I think, some companies have, sometimes you're going in and they're taking your temperature and having you fill out a questionnaire, et cetera. Sometimes you're just walking in the door. So I think it depends on them. So we'll continue to do outreach, and as able, we'll definitely get together with folks.
Okay.
And then, the acknowledgement of the board of the loan review and a statement, the board approves of the management plan. So we'll be sort of part of this, and we'll be doing it, bringing it to the board next week.
Can I have a motion to accept the loan review report and staff response and recommend to the full board and accept the report?
I'll move.
Second.
Second? All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions? All right, motion carries. All right, we'll go back to Lydia.
Thank you.
For
And the
smart
last
meter
document really is a summary of everything that we've just talked about. So these, the issues, the items that we've voted on prior to this item are our responses to the SMART audit. And in particular, I know they were looking for us to have the loan review completed and reviewed by the board, which, we do have it. It's in your document. And so our just responses are here that we have done it, it's attached, and we are compliant. So that's really a summary.
Okay. All right, so another motion to recommend to the full board and accept the SMART audit report in response to the SBA as appropriate.
I'll move.
All right, second.
Yeah, second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed or abstentions? All right, motion carries. And then lastly, is there any other business? Okay, all right, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.